Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and in this video, we are going to do a deep dive on Staltus Dragonbane. He was a guaranteed summoning event recently in Raid Shadow Legends, so I have got one on my account that I have built and fully maxed out. We will get you full context on the booking process, the masteries, the builds, different ways to use him. Then towards the end of the video, I will get him graded, and we will talk about his context in the game as a champion. So let's get into it. Alrighty, now I don't know if you're watching this way in the future, but when I recorded this video, it is right after the Staltus guaranteed summoning event, like I said in the intro, and his event was 150 ancient shards to get a guaranteed Staltus. Now, some of the polling that I did on the channel indicated that about 26% of people were going to be spending the resources to go after Staltus. And that may seem like a low number, but obviously you have to remember that there are a lot of people that don't have 150 ancients. So all of those people are going to be saying no. So of the people that had the 150 ancients or the gems to buy the ancients or were willing to spend money to acquire the shards, it was a pretty decent clip of people going for Staltus. A lot of times when these events aren't very popular, they'll be a lot lower, like in that 5% range or so. But then first, let's go over Staltus as a champion and some cool aesthetic things going on with him as well. You'll notice that he's got kind of a dragon helm and those teal green scales and then dragon in his name. Now, what's really cool about this is that he ends up being kind of themed towards Dracomorph. So if we head on over to the Lizardmen and we pull up Dracomorph, you can see we've got that similar theme with the exact same skull and then those teal dragon scales. Also, something really cool, kind of an Easter egg in the game, is Draco has this A3 called Baleful Eye, which is going to place weaken and defense down. Then also on the A2, he places a bunch of poisons. So remember that. In Draco's kit, we've got poison, weaken, and defense down. And then if we head on over to Staltus's kit, he's got a passive right here. That is whenever an enemy attempts to place weaken, defense down, or poison on this champion, it will reflect them back to the attacker while also damage increasing by 5% for each debuff on the target. So obviously a massive shout out to Dracomorph with the helm that he's wearing, the teal scales, and then the passive that is obviously catered towards exactly countering Dracomorph. But then as far as the base stats and the kit for Staltus, they're honestly pretty solid. For the base stats, you get the almost 21k HP, which is pretty decent for a defense scaling champion. 1450 is perfectly fine. 99 speed is, it's really decent. It's not like 112 or anything, but it's not 94. And then the crit rate, the crit damage, he gets the buffed up version of 63, which is great. And then having 40 between resistance and accuracy as a base is perfectly normal. So there's nothing super crazy as far as the base stats are concerned. They're just pretty solid. Then as far as the abilities are concerned, we are going to be having a champion that scales with defense, and we get a multi-hitter on the A1 that is going to hit one enemy 2 times, where if the target is under any debuff, which is a pretty easy qualifier to hit, each hit will decrease the target's turn meter by 10%, and it only takes 2 books to get that A1 up to max. You'll get 20% more damage for doing so. Then the A2, we get an AoE multi-hitter, which is not very common in Raid, and then we also get a chance to stun of 50% that can be booked up to 65. You can also get a mastery that will bump that up another 5 and get that to 70 if you would like. So a multi-hitter with that high of a percentage to stun, that is going to be an extremely consistent AoE stun that can do a decent amount of damage. Then on the A3, this is going to give you different value, different things to do based on the enemy that you are that you're going against, while also increasing his own defense for 3 turns, not just 2. So you could book it up to 100% chance and a 4-turn cooldown of either placing decreased crit damage or decreased speed based on basically if your enemy is a damage dealer or a more support utility character. Then obviously the passive that we already went over, which can reflect those weaken, defense breaks, and poisons, and then a pretty solid aura of allied defense in all battles by 30%. So a really fun kit for Staltus that can bring some self-buffing, some support in lowering opponents' speed and damage dealt, while also CCing with a very reliable AoE stun and lowering turn meter very consistently with that A1, and can be a leader for your teams, bringing a very consistent all-battle defense aura. Now, now I want to head over to the Staltus that I have got maxed out and built, so we can talk about the building process, what artifacts to use, the booking process, and then some masteries to consider for this guy. Okay, so here is my Staltus, and if you quickly want to see the stats, I can pull that up for a second and then put myself away. So you can see the about 50k HP, the attack is completely irrelevant, you don't need any of that. The 5200 about defense, 246 speed with 54% crit, 137% crit damage, and then enough accuracy to make sure I am able to use him in the content that is relevant for him. If you're using him in PvP or something a lot, you're going to want to get that accuracy up as high as you can based on the gear on your account. Then for the artifacts that I've got on him for my build, I went with a Relentless Perception blend, and with Staltus, there's a lot of different ways you can play him, so it's going to depend on the content you want to use him in and what you've got available for gear and stuff on your account. You actually can build him as a defense and damage dealer because he does a pretty good job, buffs his own defense to help his multipliers, while also having a double hitter AoE and a multi-hitter A1. So totally makes sense to build him as a damage dealer. He'd be one of the better legendary defensive scaling damage dealers in the game. And the reason I say that is because this AoE nuking ability right here, this multi-hitter, has a multiplier of 2.1. Now, when you talk about someone like Soulless, they are viewed, or Soulless is viewed a lot of times as being a really good defensive damage dealer, and his most notable AoE ability is a scale of 4.9. But Soulless has a little bit less of a base defense, so it doesn't scale quite as well with gear. So 4.9 versus 4.2 on this, because it's a multi-hitter. It's a 2.1. You have to double it because it's a multi-hitter. So it's basically a 4.2. 4.9 versus 4.2, and scales a little bit better with that base defense. Maybe not going to be quite what Soulless is, but definitely a capable AoE defensive scaling damage dealer. So yeah, that means that you can go a lot of different ways. I kind of, for this video and for some of the testing I was doing live on stream, I tried to go with like a generic general utility build where we can do a little bit of damage, but we've also got a decent amount of stability and tankiness, relentless for extra turns, and not kind of going the super glass cannon nuke in the arena build, trying to be a little bit of a hybrid. But as far as the actual pieces and the stats you're going to be looking for on your banner, you're going to want accuracy, and then for the substats, you're going to want defense and speed. If you can get like an HP percent on top of that, that would be great. For the amulet, there's a lot of different ways you can go. If you're building him as a damage dealer with like 100% crit, then you probably want crit damage on this piece. But if you're going for a more hybrid build or a more tanky build, nothing wrong with going defense or HP, really. Whatever's going to give you the best blend of hitting those accuracy and resistance thresholds. Getting a double or triple roll of accuracy on the amulet is going to be great for him. Then on the ring, we just want as much defense as we can get, and whatever HP percentages we can get on top of that would be awesome. Now, I like to build him in high speed, so I think speed boots are going to be great. Whenever I have a champion that is doing turn meter reduction, or CC, stuff like that, I enjoy having them cycle through those turns as fast as possible. So I wanted to get him in a decent amount of speed, which is why the speed boots on him, obviously a defense percent chest that gets some of the speed and accuracy and stats that you're looking for on him. The gloves, defense percent or crit rate or crit damage. Probably if you're going the damage route, you'd go crit, basically synchronize it with your amulet. If you're going a crit damage amulet, you probably want crit rate or crit damage gloves. If you're going a more hybrid build or more tankiness, then you probably want defense percent gloves. The top ones are a lot easier to understand. We're just looking for speed, accuracy, defense, and then whatever HP we can get on top of that as well. Then for the booking process, it's all pretty standard. I believe it's 11 books. So 2 plus 4 is 6 plus 5 is 11 books. Okay, and that's perfectly par for the course. The most commonly, legendaries are going to be between 10 and 12 books. So Staltus is no different. And, you know, if you get really lucky and you hit both these cooldowns on the A2 and the A3, I could see, you know, for a super budget build, saving a book or two on the A1, but it's going to be hard to get that kind of RNG because it only takes 2 books to max out that A1. And there's nothing wrong with spending books on Staltus. He's a very solid, generally useful champion. Then for the Masteries, so you can see that, like I said, I wanted to build a most generally useful build I could think of. So we've got a little bit of damage with the War Master over here on the offense tree, and then over there on the support tree, we're taking advantage of the Laura Steel because of the perception set, but you can kind of mix and match. You do get a little bit of value with the Master Hexer because remember, we're doing the decreased crit damage and also decreased speed, and getting accuracy and support stuff on this guy is always going to be great. You don't really need to go down the defense tree for too many builds, I don't think, on him. I'd probably go offense tree, and if you're going with like the 100% crit rate, damage dealing, nuking build, and you're prioritizing that, nothing wrong with taking the crit damage or the Helm Smasher, but in a more just kind of generally useful build, we'd probably go with the War Master for the tier 6, or if you're trying to use him as a lockdown in PvP or something, you could take the Eagle Eye to make sure you have enough accuracy and all that. So yeah, like I said, lots of different ways to play with Staltus. And now I want to talk about his AI and how he functions in game as a champion, and he can actually be a nightmare campaign farmer. Now, a lot of times Force Affinity champions are going to be the worst campaign farmers because we're typically going to be looking to farm in stage 12, and there's a lot of Spirit Affinity champions in stage 12. So if you're going to be using Staltus as like a nightmare campaign farmer or something, I would probably go with like 11-2. You can do 11-3 just fine. Just keep in mind you're going to be having to go up against those hegemons. So I'll show you him kind of functioning here in stage 11-2 of Nightmare. And also I want to talk about his AI. So what you're going to be doing out the gate on auto is his ability right here that places the different debuffs on opponents while also buffing his own defense. So if you're in a situation where you're in the Doom Tower or you're in the arena or something and you really want to get the stuns, the AoE lockdown, you're probably gonna have to set a custom AI parameter or step in and do that manually, because you'll see when I hit auto here in 3, 2, 1, he did the Dragon Heart ability, and that ability is super cool. It kind of shows Draco flying in from the back, and we already talked about his Draco theme with the helm and the scales and the passive. So one of the cooler animations in the game right there, where he has Draco fly in from behind, like the spirit and the soul of Draco coming in to cast those debuffs on the opponents and then also buff his own defense. Now, I spent a lot of time talking, so this run is going to be slow, but he can be a nightmare campaign farmer in like 40 seconds. He really does a pretty good job. He can even do some things like solo Minotaur carry and clear it in like 30-something seconds if you build him as a damage dealer and prioritize those speed runs. And I think he could also do a lot of work in the Doom Tower scenario. Anytime you're going up against waves, some of your slower compositions where maybe you're not nuking it down with like a seer or something, you can use your Staltus as an opportunity to keep everything locked down, get those stuns off. He can buff his own defense, so you don't have to bring a defense up for him or anything like that. He'll lower their speed, he'll lower their damage, and then also keep them locked down with that AoE stun like you saw right there. It basically shuts down the entire team. So he can pair well with somebody like Masha Led for the fears, and then bring Staltus for the stuns, and you can really lock down these waves and not ever let them get any of their abilities off. And then even if they do, we've got them doing less crit damage to really help you be able to survive those attacks. So look out for Staltus if you're ever in a Doom Tower scenario where you're just trying to get through a stage and you're not necessarily worried about speed farming it. Now, if you really wanted to use him in the arena, I would probably put him in the damage dealer utility role, because he's not going to have an ability to like revive or do a bunch of crazy support or strip enemy buffs or anything like that. So he's going to need to go in kind of a flex spot. So I would kind of build around him. And then maybe instead of a build like mine, you might want to lean in a little bit towards the damage side of things and make sure that he can do enough damage while hopefully maybe having enough accuracy to land some of those stuns and stuff. But I think he can definitely do some work in like a team 2 or team 3 of like a tag team arena setup or something. I don't see him getting used a ton probably in the arena, but he could definitely make sense in the right team and slot into that kind of 4th flex spot and just kind of slowly whittle people down and do some damage, as you saw right here with my Staltus doing the bulk of the damage. Even though I didn't really build him for that, he's able to do okay in that role. And now for the fun part, let's go over the grades for Staltus Dragonborn here, and let's see how he ranks out. Now, full disclosure, most times when they do fusions and stuff, fragment events, those champions grade somewhere around like 8, 8.5, and then the really good ones grade around 9 or so. So let's see where Staltus kind of shakes out on the scale. So book value, remember, he takes 11 books, and he's a pretty solid, generally useful champion. I'd go like 8.5. I like it. Pretty solid. In the arena, you know, I think he's not going to get used a ton, but he could definitely make sense on earlier mid-game accounts, and especially in Tag Team Arena, be a good filler champion for them. So it's not like he's garbage or anything. He does have CC. I'm going to give him like an 8. For the Hydra, you know, he can self-buff his defense, lower the crit damage, lower the speed, AoE, so usable. Not like a god-tier Hydra champion, but definitely brings some utility. For the clan boss, the A1 turn meter stuff's not going to work. Yeah, he's not going to be great there. He's not going to really see any play in the clan boss or anything. He buff his own defense, which is nice. But anything past like a super beginner clan boss team, he's not going to be in. So I'd honestly go like a 3.5 for Demon Lord. Faction Wars, he's going to be great. Like any scenario where you're up against waves, he can lock them down with the stuns, lower the turn meter of like bosses, and lower the speed, the crit damage. Absolute legend in Faction Wars. We'll go or wait, on this scale I usually go 1 to 10, so I'd go like 9.5. He's gonna be very good in Faction Wars. Then for the Doom Tower, again, a similar scenario, really great versus waves, any of your slower teams that you're trying to just get through content. You don't mind if the run takes 9 minutes or whatever. It can also lower the speed of the boss, same drill. And he's sturdy, tanky. I'd go like a 9. Very good there. Dungeons, he's a great progression champion. He does have an all battle aura, and could be really tanky, multi-hitter for the Fire Knight while locking down the waves and reducing turn meter. Yeah, I could see him being pretty solid in dungeons. I'll go like an 8.5. And then Scarcity, he does have a multi-hitter AoE, which is super cool, and he's got a very consistent AoE stun, which it exists, but it's not insanely common, and a passive that's kind of cool in terms of reflecting some of those weakened defense down, poisons, a self buffer that can do debuffing based on what opponent you're going up against. So not the most crazy champion, but does have some things that are rare. I'd probably go like a 6 for Scarcity, which means we end up with an overall grade of 7.6 about, which is going to seem bad. But remember, if you've already got your clan boss team done, like the clan boss score is dragging him down. If he was, if you're not worried about that grade, he ends up being a really solid champion who's going to grade out somewhere in that 8 to 9 range for account utility, as long as you're not worried about using him against the Demon Lord. But let's put that down a little bit, because I really don't think he's going to get used there very all. So yeah, in terms of the grades, he's definitely a really solid champion. It's just the way it ends up kind of shaking out and where he shines, and being such a low score in the Demon Lord, his grade ends up being kind of low. But I do think he is a cool champion. He's probably, gosh, there's like there's so many legendaries now. There's like 170 or something, and he's probably in the top like 55 or so, like in terms of you know, like overall account utility and being sturdy while also doing a decent amount of damage and stuff. So definitely a solid champion regardless of how the grade ended up shaking out on the sheet here. And then after I grade and kind of talk about the champion, I really like to dive in and discuss, is there anything that I would nerf or buff, or is there anything that I would have done differently from a design standpoint here, like in hindsight? And honestly, I don't really think so. He's pretty cool. He's a good champion. He's solid. Not every champion, every fusion, every event is going to be a top 5 champion in the game, or at least regarded so in the community. I think he's got a cool role in the game. He's got cool aesthetics around like the Draco and cool looking abilities, and maybe I would have gone like 20 accuracy on the base. I think having 50 between resistance and accuracy is perfectly fine. That wouldn't have been broken or anything. So maybe giving him a 20 base accuracy, because his speed isn't like 110 or anything, and it's not like there's any base stat that's crazy. It's just the HP is pretty decent and the defense is pretty decent, and the speed is it's 99. It's okay. It's not like 108 or 112 or anything. So maybe something there in the base stats, a little bit of love on the accuracy or something. But all in all, I like the kit. I like how it synergizes. I like how it functions. I like how tanky he is. I like how generally useful he is. And I think he's going to be a great addition to the game for lots of accounts out there that have him in their arsenal. So yeah, let me know down below where you agree agree, where you disagree, how you would have graded him differently, and all that sorts of stuff. My tier lists and our gradings that we do are always living documents and subject to change and evolving with the times as we try our best to get more feedback and do more information gathering here on the channel to try and keep things as accurate as we can, even though it's never going to be perfect. But yeah, that'll do it for me on this one. As always, thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Remember to subscribe on your way out if you enjoy daily Raid Shadow Legends content, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Peace.